Hi again. So I'm going to start now with the clarifying and asking questions sections. These two sections are both done as you are reading. And so I'm going to start by reading the prologue of the same book we were just predicting about. So the prologue is sort of like the first chapter that comes before the first chapter. So the title of it is This Is Not a Joke. Once upon a time, my life was normal. Then the mirror in our basement ate us. Okay, so that right there is something that doesn't quite make sense to me. I'm going to jot that down and clarify. Mirror ate us. And I've just put that in quotation marks to show that it's a quote right from the book. It's not an exact quote, but I've made it just short form because I don't have to write out the full sentence, just a quick jot to know what I'm talking about here. And so the mirror ate us, and I'm going to write my clarification strategy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reread. When I read it again, the mirror in our basement ate us. It doesn't really make any more sense, so I'm going to read on. So I've written there that I've reread it, and then I'm going to read on to see if it's going to make sense later. In the meantime, I'm also going to write a question. And so my question is, did the mirror literally eat them? And more to that, I'm going to say, wouldn't they be dead then? Because if they got eaten, that sounds like they would be not living after that. So I've added those questions to my question section. I have a little bit of clarification there on something that didn't quite make sense. So I'm going to carry on. Do you think I'm joking? Do you think I'm making this up? You do, don't you? So clarifying this makes a little bit more sense now because the speaker does understand that this is a bizarre thing to say. You're thinking, Abby, mirrors don't usually go ahead and slurp people up. Mirrors just hang on the wall and reflect stuff. So I'm going to drop down in my questions here. Is Abby the main character? Is that sort of what I'm thinking based on this? Is Abby the main character? Question mark. So there we go. Is Abby the main character? Well, you're wrong. So very wrong. Everything I'm going to tell you is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. I'm not making anything up. And I'm not a liar or a crazy person who thinks she's telling the truth but secretly isn't. I am, in fact, a very logical person. And here I'm starting to wonder, she's sort of saying that so much. I'm not a liar, I'm not crazy, I'm logical. It started making me think, like, is she telling the truth? I'm not quite sure, so I'm going to jot down in my questions, is Abby a truthful person? Because I'm wondering about that. Okay, so is Abby a truthful person? I'm wondering. Fair, too. And that's one sentence, just 2 words. That didn't quite make sense to me. I'm going to jot that down and clarify. Fair, too. Okay, and I'm going to reread that. I am, in fact, a very logical person. Fair, too. Okay, so it does make sense to me now. I see that she's saying she's logical and she's fair, so she's giving another quality. I have to be, since I'm going to be a judge when I grow up. Well, first I'm going to be a lawyer, and then I'm going to be a judge, because you have to be a lawyer first. That's the rule. But yeah, I am an extremely logical, extremely practical, and extremely uncrazy 10-year-old girl whose life went completely berserk after her parents forced her to move to Smithville. Okay, I'm going to jot down right here. Where is Smithville? And I'm kind of wondering, like, where in the world it is. Is it in our world? Is this book taking place on Earth? Or is it taking place in a different world, some sort of fairy tale world that doesn't really exist? Or is this like an American town, or I don't know. So I'm wondering, where is Smithville? Still don't believe me? You will when you hear all the facts. You will when you hear the whole story. Let me start at the beginning. And that's the end of the prologue. So you can see here, just from that short prologue, I've got my predictions that I did before I started reading, and now I've got a couple of clarifications and a couple of questions. So that's what you would do as you're reading any book that you have chosen. And I will stop there, and I'll make the summarizing in a next video.